We have details from this week's Licensing Authority hearing on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Tuesday, March 22nd, 2016. I'm Sarah Mantle. The Black Cat Harbor Shack hopes to build a rooftop deck at the Ocean Street Restaurant and Bar. Attorney Dan Creedon presented plans to the Licensing Authority this week.
So this is not much to say here. We're currently, Mr. Colombo has a license to operate there. He has a project before multiple boards in the town to add a new service area above the existing covered porch in the front of the building. The number of seats proposed in that new service area is 38. And then he's proposing to eliminate 15 seats at the ground level, the patio seating. So it's a net add of 23 seats. This is in response to demand. Mr. Colombo's in his 5th season there at the Black Cat, Harbor Shack. There's been very good demand there. There's been long wait times, and he's trying to increase his capacity to meet that demand. As the ad copy said, it's completely enclosed on the 2nd story. It'll be accessible by 2 staircases and a lift, which is mandated by ADA regulation. He's been there for 5 seasons. There have been no issues, and we ask that the board look favorably on the request to alter the premises. Be happy to answer any questions.
The Licensing Authority voted to approve the plan, subject to approval by the Planning Board. The Tuit Center for the Arts asks the Licensing Authority to expand the areas on the property where they can serve alcohol. Executive Director David Keene says the request follows a recent renovation.
The impetus for this request is the completion of a major renovation of the building that is on the corner of Route 28 and our driveway, which we call the Annex. It's recently been renovated and upgraded with to be ADA compliant, a 49-seat theater that will tie into our educational theater programs, where there are also classrooms upstairs. We have had a full on-premise license for the past 5 years, and for your information, if you're not aware, we do not serve food. We're not a restaurant. The bar is open generally 1 hour before a theater performance, and generally 15 minutes during an intermission of a theater performance or a concert, and that's the extent of the operation. We are never open. The bar is never open during other hours while the art gallery or classes may be in session, only during performance.
After some discussion, the Licensing Authority voted unanimously to approve that request. Well, a new burger joint will soon be coming to Main Street in Hyannis. Kekkai DS owner Keith Stidy described the restaurant during the Licensing Authority hearing.
We have places in Marshfield and Plymouth, and what we want to do is we go to the location which used to be Tommy Doyle's, and years ago was Hooters and a couple other places. And what we want to do is the facility over there, and our realtor here, John Salucci, our facility it's about a 7,000 square foot location, but what we're doing is we're cutting it almost in half to 2,500 square feet to make it a really small neighborhoody type location, local. And what we think it's going to be kind of like Plymouth, where when we put in Plymouth was kind of like a tourist town, which is kind of like Hyannis a bit. But actually what we do is it's actually become a very local neighborhood, busier in the winter with locals. It's just a convenient, comfortable approach. We're a full-service bar, but a service of alcohol, but it's primarily coming in for burgers, and it's really high quality. We have a entertainment application. That's basically it's just for background music. A couple of people singing, strumming on a guitar. There's no dancing and no dance floor or anything like that at all.
What about karaoke?
Well, we could offer that if someone wanted to do it. I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
I don't see it on the application. That's why I'm
No,
asking.
but that's, and usually, in Plymouth, it's just usually on weekends, when people come in, they just want to hear, someone maybe doing some local music, so that's really all it is. And again, Kate's the general manager. This is actually Kekkai DS, so she'll be here full-time. She's been in the business for 20, 30 years. She used to be general manager of Isaac's on the waterfront in Plymouth, which is one of the higher-end restaurants in Plymouth. And that's what we're trying to do.
Lieutenant John Murphy encouraged the board to approve the operating license.
In anticipation of this application, I've never met these two folks before, but I did make some phone calls to some friends that work for the Plymouth Police Department, and they fully endorsed the character and the business operation that these two people have. Part of the police department's goal is to get Main Street back being Main Street, and vacant buildings aren't good for Main Street. So the fact that this quality operation wants to move into Tommy Doyle's, I would endorse it.
The licensing authority approved the request. Kekkai DS hopes to open its doors by the end of May. Well, and another restaurant request was also approved during this week's licensing authority hearing. The licensing authority approved a request by Jasmine Blossom to take over the former Pizzeria Uno's. Attorney Stephen Persutti talked about the new restaurant.
What we have, what we're proposing to put in that location is an Asian fusion restaurant. It's been very, very successful off Cape, and there's 7 other locations. And that's a mix of Chinese, Japanese, and Taiwanese. There's one correction in that advertisement. The total number of seats is actually 211, not 221. That could have been my mistake initially when I gave it to Maggie. I'm not really sure. But what we're actually looking for.
Total seat 219, same as before.
Okay, but let me just address this in a minute.
Okay.
At this particular point, what we're looking to do is to have a sushi bar with 10 seats. Bar seats were 23, and the total number of interior seats was 191 seats, as shown on the plan. The number of exterior seats is 20 seats. So if my math is correct, that should be 211 seats. The entertainment that you mentioned, that was going to be 3 performers. There was going to be a stage, as is shown on the entertainment plan. There's 5 televisions. We look to have approximately 20 employees. The building commissioner has approved the parking plan, which shows 5 takeout spaces, which is dedicated for takeout. The total square footage of the restaurant and the licensed premises would be approximately 7,600 square feet. I think it's important to note, and what I've been, I was very pleased to read. I did a little research over the weekend, and I checked TripAdvisor on all of their 7 restaurants that they have. And remarkably, all of their restaurants scored an average score of 4 stars or greater out of 5 stars. And when I spoke to Stephen initially, when they were talking about taking over this property, I asked him, why do you want to come down to the Cape? And he said that he did an analysis of the area, he checked out the restaurants on Cape Cod, and he said there was nothing like what they do with the sushi bar. With, they're going to have a little banquet area, or what would you call it? Buffet area.
And again, the licensing authority approved the new restaurant. The owners of Jasmine Blossom signed a 10-year lease for the space and hope to open the establishment by the end of September. We'll be sure to tune in to our hour-long news program, Barnstable This Morning, weekdays at 7 a.m. On tomorrow's show, we will chat with David Augustino. He's the executive director of the Cape and Islands Workforce Investment Board. We'll get an inside look at the recent Barnstable Youth Summit. Plus, we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.